Hello, sixth graders. I'll be reading two chapters today, chapter 5 and 6 of Lawn Boy. I hope you're enjoying the story. Chapter 5, Labor Acquisition and its Effect on Capital Growth. Labor, people working, acquisition, right, to acquire, to get. So we know he's going to get some help with his business and how that affects his growth of his business. "Hi," he said. "Arnold says you want to talk to me about work." Pasquale had the reddest hair I have ever seen in my life. My grandmother once told me, "You can always trust a redhead. They sometimes have mean tempers, to be sure, but they've usually got good hearts." Of course, we were at a baseball game at the time, and I'd asked her to help me figure out my favorite player's batting average, but I still thought it was pretty good advice, and so I liked Pasquale right away. We were at Arnold's house. I had about 20 minutes before I had to be home. I had told my parents that I had to talk to people about new jobs, and they extended my be out time to 9:30. "It's nice that you found a way to make some spare change," Mom had said. "But aren't you working too hard?" I jammed my hands in my pockets that were crammed with, at the moment, something like $330, and said, "I like the work. It's good to be out in the fresh air." My parents are big on me spending time in the fresh air for some reason. She'd smile at me. "I'm so glad you're having such a good summer. I was a little worried things would be too quiet for you." I decided to jump right into it with Pasquale since my time was short. "I have a lot of job offers I can't take because I'm working alone with only one mower. If I had help and maybe another mower..." Pasquale nodded. "How many jobs do you have waiting?" I thought, I could probably have 8 more. I don't really know how many might be coming along. Another nod. "I understand. Tomorrow morning, look for a small truck and a mower. A man named Lewis will be driving. He's my cousin. Tell him which lawns to cut. I'll come when it's dark and do what silent work is needed." Who do I pay?" "I receive half of what you get from the lawns that Lewis and I do, and I shall pay Lewis half of that half." "Half? I don't do anything and I get half?" I shook my head. "That doesn't seem fair. Shouldn't you get more?" Pasquale smiled, his mustache turning up at the corners and then down. "You take half because you are the boss. You found these jobs and will find more. That's the way it's done." "But it's too much." Arnold coughed. It was the first sound he'd made since we started talking. "It can be adjusted later if you still feel that way. For right now, let's just come to an agreement to get the process rolling." I shrugged. "Fine with me, I guess." Pasquale held out his hand and we shook. "Lewis and the truck will be here at Arnold's house in the morning. You leave the money with Arnold and he'll pay us." And he was gone. Arnold and I worked out new prices since Pasquale would be doing additional work. We also figured out a smaller percentage for me. I stood there for another minute thinking. "Is something wrong?" Arnold asked. I shrugged. "I don't really know what to do. I've got all this money and I don't want to have it around the house where my parents could find it." "Will they steal it from you?" "Oh, no, that's not it. I don't want to tell them about the money until the end of the summer." "Why wait until then?" "I'm waiting for the right time, so it doesn't sound like I'm kind of bragging or something." Arnold rubbed the back of his head, then his face. "Tell you what, if you want. I'll keep it here, invest it for you the way we did with that first stock the other day. That way your money will make money while you earn more." I had a good feeling that Arnold was honest and smart about investing, so I gave him most of the money, keeping just enough for gas for the mower. He gave me a receipt. If I'd known what was coming, I might have fired up the mower, stuck it in Mac's Rabbit, and putt-putted all the way home to hide in my room. Chapter 6, Economic Expansion combined with portfolio diversification. So we know his business is expanding, and now when it says portfolio, that he's doing more things than just mowing. 2 weeks passed. 14 days passed. 336 hours flew by. 20,160 minutes whistled past. 12,096,000 seconds roared away. Numbers, all numbers. And that's what happened to the time. It turned into numbers. In the beginning, I had a routine. I got up early, had some cereal before my parents even woke up, grabbed a gallon jug of water from the fridge, and packed a bag lunch that I'd eat on the back of the mower while I was working. There was never any time to stop for lunch, so I got good at eating and mowing. Then left the house to start work. First, I checked the oil in the mower. Pasquale showed me how to do it, and because it's an old engine, it needs a fair amount of oil. Then I added oil if I needed it, filled it with gas, and headed off down the street to Arnold's house, where I met Louis, a thin man with a small pickup. For 2 weeks, we loaded my mower on a small trailer he pulled behind the pickup and headed to our latest jobs. And at the end of the day, we went back to Arnold's and I would ride my mower home and fall into bed until the next morning. Louis and I were doing 3 lawns a day, each with Pasquale coming to work in the evening and early morning to do edge work and cleanup. One night, I stayed late to talk to Pasquale. "We can't keep up," I said. "We're locked into a ginormous number of lawns now, once a week, and I'm having to turn more people down." "No," Pasquale shook his head. "Don't turn away work. Soon the summer will pass, the grass will be gone, and the work will fly away. We must make our lives while the summer is here. I know someone. Benny. He has a truck and he'll come tomorrow morning. I have another cousin who can help me at night and others if you get more jobs. But you must not turn work down." And so I went on adding lawns. I kept track of them in a little notebook. Then I bought a larger one and wrote down the names, addresses, and dates mowed so there was some order. Then I got jobs to do shrub trimming and pool cleanup and sidewalk edging and garage cleaning, and there were more and more people working away. One morning, I arrived at Arnold's, putting down the edge of the road on my grandfather's old mower, and there were 4 pickups and 12 people waiting there for me, and I thought, my, Pasquale has a large family. And it was only the last week in June. But I really didn't think of much besides keeping track of the new jobs in my notebook and recutting the lawns that came due and collecting the money and handing it over to Arnold. He put aside my percentage and gave the rest to Pasquale when he came to work at night. Pasquale paid everyone else. Then I'd ride home to dinner with my parents, sleep, and head off to work on my mower again. Once or twice, Grandma came over for dinner. "I see you're making good use of that old mower. Which reminds me, Maggie Doyle and I are going to take a pottery class to the senior center this winter." She nodded happily and reached for the rolls. Even in my exhaustion, I noticed the glance my parents exchanged over the salad bowl. "But don't work too hard," Grandma smiled at me. "Is that grass in your hair?" I had grass everywhere, in my socks, in my cereal bowl every morning, on my toothbrush. My shoes were stained green. I couldn't smell anything but fresh-cut grass, and I dreamed about endless lawns and enormous piles of clippings. I found myself thinking about how to best lean into turn so that the mower wouldn't leave rough patches that needed to be trimmed by hand. I spent a great deal of time wondering if I could rig up an umbrella to the mower to keep the sun off my face, not because I minded the heat, but because when I squinted, I made the rows uneven. I dug through old copies of Sports Illustrated to look for pictures of Major League ballparks, corn outfields, so that I could study the patterns the ground crews left behind in the nap of the grass. But mostly the work cycle took over, and I kind of missed the bigger picture. Until one morning, I putted to work and there were 5 pickups and more people, all with mowers and